Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone, wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to this AWS Telecom session at reInvent 2021. My name is Adolfo Hernandez, and I'm the Vice President for the Global Telecom Industry Business Unit at Amazon Web Services.
And I'm Ishwar Parulkar, the Chief Technologist for Telecom at AWS.
We're both really excited as to what's happening in the industry as we see cloud really helping communication service providers with their digital transformation efforts. The opportunities ahead for all of us in this market are enormous, since we're really at an inflection point of acceleration for our society, with more businesses on the cloud, with communications and data being brought closer together to the cloud, with disruptions like 5G, who will be impacting all of us beyond telecommunications providers. Many of these disruptions will be a transformational force in other industries like manufacturing, automotive, media, entertainment, retail, gaming, and many others. And in this session, we are going to cover the what and the how of this, and we will also share some exciting stories from our customers. So let me turn quickly to our strategic focus in the telecommunications space. At AWS, our vision in the telecom team is to really help telecom operators accelerate business value. And we want to do this by working together, by reinventing, by building solutions together, and to do that with a broad ecosystems of telco partners and developers. And we're doing this because telecommunications customers are really seeing the value of applying the cloud model to the telecom model and really benefit from elasticity, agility, automation, performance gains, and the low cost of the AWS cloud. At the core, we're working with telecom operators in 4 key strategic areas. First, cloudify their networks. Second, simplify their operations. Third, reimagine customer experience. And fourth, unlocking growth for years to come. Let me briefly explain each of these one by one and allow our customers to explain themselves the value they're seeing on using AWS in each of these strategic initiatives. Let me first start talking about cloudifying the networks. This network cloudification is all about helping telecom operators accelerate the delivery of software-defined networks, particularly 5G at the moment, at a much lower cost and increase elasticity on the AWS cloud. We're really helping telecom operators innovate at a much faster pace by transforming how networks can be built, can be operated in a more flexible, agile, and cost-effective way that actually moves from CapEx to flexible OpEx and applies cloud economics to traditional, very rigid network infrastructures. And we achieve that by leveraging AWS proven infrastructure and services. This allows telcos to peel away the complexity and all the overheads of deploying, managing, improving orchestration, and automate their networks. Ultimately, it's about creating value in that process of build, operate, orchestrate, and manage. Let me take each of them in turn. First, it's about velocity. It's about delivering a much faster build-out and a deployment by leveraging the AWS infrastructure and all the security that is already in place. You can also do a lot more with less, and you can do it faster because you're using the existing cloud. And the cloud helps you reduce the total cost of ownership, the capital expenditures, and all the associated logistics that come with equipment. All of that complexity and the build-out required in traditional network goes away. Second, it's about operating efficiency gains that we can get in operations. All of that will come through adaptability, scalability, and high availability that you can scale up and down on demand. And that delivers the business and the network agility that you need to really react and anticipate the demand of your customers when it comes to changes, opportunities, launch of new solutions, or reacting to very urgent requirements. Third is about increasing the automation across the whole network. And we're really working here with customers to bring network orchestration and a common cloud programming model that provides efficient rollout of new services and line of sight to monitor performance of the whole network. And last but not least, a cloud-native network also has to give you the opportunities to monetize in new ways. And it has to give you the possibility to deploy new managed services easily, providing an improved experience to consumers and enterprise customers, and to, at the end of it all, allow for much faster adoption of new services, new collaborations with third-party developers, and a much better agility to monetize. So as you can see, there is a lot here. So let me hand over to Ishwar, who is going to be covering how AWS is enabling the delivery of cloud-native 5G networks, and he's going to share some examples.
Thank you, Adolfo. The underlying foundation of building an end-to-end cloud-native network is the availability of cloud infrastructure and services from the central cloud all the way to where the subscriber and users are. At AWS, we look at the cloud as a continuum from the regions to the far edge. Most of the workloads can run in our regions, but we offer AWS local zones, which are available to all developers, which is essentially AWS infrastructure fully managed by AWS, located close to users in metros or large industrial areas. We offer AWS Wavelength, also available to all developers, which is also AWS infrastructure managed by AWS, but hosted in telco edge data centers and sites directly connected to 5G access networks. We have AWS Outposts, which is AWS infrastructure that can be deployed in any on-premise data center by a customer and used for their dedicated workloads. And finally, we have our Snow family of devices, with which we can provide disconnected options and operation in ruggedized environments. With this continuum, we enable our customers to build high-performance cloud-native applications that rely on data processing and storage closer to where it's generated, delivering ultra-low latency, intelligent real-time responsiveness, and reducing the amount of data that's required to be transferred to the regions. What sets AWS apart is our unique approach to building this continuum. We use a consistent programming model across the entire continuum. We offer the same services as in the regions, with the same APIs, automation, and tools, and the regions and the edge can be managed with a single pane of glass. Customers can seamlessly move workloads across locations with a common deployment and management model, creating a lot of flexibility while realizing all the benefits of the cloud. This approach to the edge cloud continuum lays the foundation of building an end-to-end cloud-native network from the packet core to the radio access network, the RAN, including transport and other network components such as firewalls, SDN routers, and gateways, all managed and orchestrated with a single pane of glass. Dish Wireless wants to be America's first cloud-native 5G network from core to the edge. Dish is reimagining connectivity and reimagining customer experience through new platforms, new business models, and new services, all built on the convergence of wireless, data analytics, AI, and the cloud. Dish has chosen to build their 5G network on the foundation of AWS. In this cloud-native network, the AWS regions serve as national or regional data centers to host OSS and BSS systems, as well as the non-latency critical components of the core, the IMS core, and the components of the 5G core control plane. The AWS local zones, which are distributed across metros, host the 5G core user plane components, which are typically deployed per metro area. Wherever there are edge data centers already available, we host them on AWS Outposts deployed in those edge data centers. Depending on the topology of the network, this could also host the higher layer component of the RAN stack called the centralized unit or the CU. And then we have AWS Outposts in small 1U, 2U form factors that can be deployed at cell sites to host the lower layers of the component of the RAN stack called the distributed unit or DU. We also utilize our backbone and network infrastructure assets to provide backhaul in this network. AWS Direct Connect or DX is a product where we connect edge locations to our regions directly over our backbone, and that is being used here to provide backhaul to many of the sites. The vendors Dish chose for its network have partnered with us over the years on this cloud-native journey of network function implementations. These partners provide the containerized core and RAN network functions that we deploy in these sites on top of our EC2 virtualization platform and Amazon EKS, our managed Kubernetes service for container workloads. While the 5G standards bodies took the right steps in defining a service-based architecture for the 5G core to be more cloud-native, we have closely worked with Nokia engineering teams to realize implementations of containerized 5G core components and enhanced our EC2, VPC, and EKS services to enable a truly cloud-native software model for network workloads. Similarly, with Mavenir, we have collaborated to take advantage of the ORAN Alliance open architecture to realize cloud-native implementations of the RAN CU and DU components running on AWS. Now let me introduce Nokia and Dish so that they may give you more insight into how they are working with AWS.
Our mission is to connect people and things, changing the way the world communicates. AWS is providing the underlying infrastructure and the platform to power up our network, and Nokia is providing the key applications for the 5G network, which is the packet core and security and IMS. So both are very critical for our success.
If you look at Dish's strategy, it's loud and clear. It's not only about serving the consumers, but also serving the verticals and the enterprises as they dynamically need the bandwidths and the extreme low latencies and high throughputs of the 5G network. The journey is setting on a right tone here with AWS behind the landscape of Dish. And we as Nokia think that, this is one dialogue between the three of us. We should be having more continuous about how do we open up this ecosystem and embrace more partners to create more value for Dish and more value for the verticalization of this business.
With AWS, we have a great option of scaling the network dynamically. We do not have to worry about long-haul circuits transport, which is a critical factor for building a nationwide network. We are building our entire network using AWS infrastructure. So I would say AWS is fundamental to our success. It's a value in terms of cost and value in terms of customized connectivity. We are going to have a customized delivery platform for each of the customers where they can consume services the way they want.
The journey has just started. There is a lot of paradigm shifts that we intend to bring as we transform this network, validate the whole postulates of platform agnostic of our software applications that we have been building for 3 years, bring in agility and scale through automation, and bring in value creation for Dish. All these are exciting big words, but it all starts up ground up, and we're looking forward for this relationship and the work with AWS.
One of the key benefits of a cloud model for networks is the operational benefit of lowered cost, automation, and agility derived from applying software practices of continuous integration and continuous delivery that is second nature to cloud developers. Software developers on the cloud use several AWS tools, from IDE toolkits and AWS code commit and code build to author source code and build software, AWS code deploy to test and deploy automatically, AWS X-Ray and CloudWatch to monitor it. This happens seamlessly in an integrated pipeline across development, testing, deployment, and lifetime of the software. With the cloud-native approach to networks, we applied this to network functions, but had to solve some challenges as the pipeline now has to work across 3 entities. We have network vendors building network functions. They're deployed by AWS services onto AWS infrastructure, while the network is being operated and managed by Dish Wireless. We tailored this pipeline to work across these, creating test sandboxes with hooks into the production network and clear SLAs between the entities. In this way, we were able to cut down cost of operations by over 40% and reduce time to market from several days and weeks to just hours. The primary reasons that virtualized networks have taken time to gain traction in production have been performance, security, and cost. The strength of our virtualization stack and investment in in-house silicon has paved the way for these networks. The Nitro architecture for building EC2 instances includes a dedicated Nitro security chip that protects hardware resources directly on the motherboard. We have dedicated silicon, which is built in-house, on this Nitro card that offloads the heavy CPU, memory, and networking management, which only leaves all CPU capacity for applications and also creates a very thin layer of hypervisor, giving almost bare metal performance with all the benefits of virtualization. We have also invested our silicon expertise in building ARM processors and recently released Graviton 2. With Graviton 2, we are seeing up to 20% lower cost and 40% better price performance compared to other instances. Also, it has significantly low power and a much smaller footprint, making it ideal for constrained edge sites like cell towers. We believe this could significantly cut down the cost of networks while delivering the capacity of performance required for 5G. Now, let's take a moment to listen to Mavenir, one of our partners, who are leveraging Graviton 2 to get most out of their RAN stack, and see how they are partnering with us to meet Dish's 5G needs.
The dream was 2 years back when we actually embarked upon implementing some of the workloads was that we actually will implement the end-to-end network on public cloud. The dream is coming true, and we of course have some work to do, but we're on the right track.
One of the advantages we have going cloud native is to scale horizontally. That means we can offer different services and spin off new functions based on different network slices. Now the slices also require underlying infrastructure, which is exactly what we get from AWS, where we are not only spinning off the applications, but we're also relying on the underlying infrastructure to scale with it dynamically. With the benefit of going with AWS, that's exactly what we solve. We said we always have a consistent infrastructure ready for us to spin up our applications to support the SLAs.
All the key guys from Avenir and AWS are working on making sure these are the elements that you see on the screen, where we really zoom in and make sure that system is scalable. Using DevOps framework for delivering software in telco itself is a new thing. Now talking about DevOps on public cloud, that's another layer. This is where I think the fun is, where we actually can do something very, very innovative. So this is industry first. This is groundbreaking work. And thanks to Dish and of course the cooperation from AWS, we are able to implement and realize this dream because it's a very big change for the telco industry.
Okay, so far we've covered network cloudified. Let's just now turn to operations simplified. As I talk to telecom operators around the world, I see a real common thrust and push to really simplify their operations. They want to transform their IT infrastructure and they want to increase automation across all the business processes. I think everybody recognizes that complexity has built over the years and that is really holding back their business in terms of capital, teams, agility. And we're working with them to help them take the complexity out of their enterprise IT, out of their operation support systems, and out of the business support systems. And we're doing that by helping them move those environments and migrate them to the cloud. AWS has the most experience in helping telcos accelerate that journey to the cloud by enabling data center consolidations, rapid migrations of workloads, optimization of performance, cost reduction, and ultimately it's about freeing up capital that you can invest in the business to stay competitive and innovative. AWS has a long history of simplifying operations and business support systems, OSS and BSS, and we do this through an extensive collaboration with a network of partners. We started over 5 years ago laying the foundation of developing key relationships with telecoms operators to work backwards from their needs and really work with our partners to deliver OSS and BSS solutions with providers like Amdocs, Ericsson, Nokia, and many others. And really at the same time, simplify the way customers were transforming to deliver these new services into operation. Now we have over 50 customers around the world that have already built their OSS and BSS needs on the AWS platform. We're working with our partners, and they're using our architecture and frameworks, as I said, with many partners and with more than 20 native services that we deliver on top of our platform. Let me hand over to Ishwar, who is going to dive deeper and talk about network orchestration.
A virtualized cloud-native network brings to the network the benefits that software, application, and service developers have been using since the inception of the cloud. Just as in the cloud, developers can create virtual infrastructure, use AWS services to create powerful applications, and with just a few API calls, OSS BSS systems can orchestrate the network to create, deploy, scale, monitor, and manage new network services. We give our telco customers a spectrum of network orchestration capability. AWS enables running third-party orchestrators based on ONAP or OSM, or natively designed by network vendors as an application. These serves customers who already have orchestrations in their place to embark on their cloud-native journey very quickly. We also have a deeper integration with service orchestrators, where the orchestrator can call native AWS EC2, VPC, and AKS APIs for creating instances, scaling them, terminating them, and a host of other operations. And lastly, we can use existing Amazon services natively, such as Amazon CloudFormation, CloudTrail, System Manager, and EC2 features such as Autoscale directly to perform the functions typically carried out by network orchestrators. Now, standards for interfaces between the various orchestration layers are still evolving, and the industry is yet to settle on a specification that allows independent implementations of the service orchestration layer, the network management layer, network domain orchestrators, and infrastructure orchestration for multiple vendors to operate seamlessly. The flexibility we offer in building orchestration capability using AWS services ensures that telcos can create an efficient network orchestration system given the lack of standardization and multiple choice of vendors that the telcos have.
Thank you, Ishwar. This was really, really helpful. But let's now hear from a customer. Let's hear from Lynn Cox, Verizon Senior Vice President and Network CIO.
I have the operational responsibility for all of the OSS, the operating systems in Verizon. And if you think about what Verizon is, it's a very large network-based company. Once an order is taken, whether it's a consumer order or a business order, that's immediately handed to the operating systems, and we provision and activate those services on top of the network. So I have all of the tools that allow the company to do those functions. Most people think about Verizon, they think about the network. And what we're doing here with 5G, we were the first with 5G, and now what we've set out to do is build the nation's largest, most reliable 5G network. What was great in our partnership with AWS is we could turn to your cloud platform, which had massive amount of compute capability for us. Anybody that knows Verizon, we always say we can out-execute anybody, so we didn't want to spend too much time in that planning phase. If we had done it the way we always did, which was with in-house servers, the cost to do it would have been astronomical, but also the time. It didn't lend itself to what we needed to do in order to have the first mover advantage. So that's where we turned to our partnership with AWS to really maximize the speed with which we could make these decisions and run these, I would say, scenarios to come up with the best plan for our 5G network.
Okay, we have now covered two. We've covered network cloudified and operation simplified. So let's now look at the improvements that can be achieved thanks to the cloud to improve customer experience. When you infuse AI and machine learning into operations, it's possible to use more data, it's possible to serve customers better, and it is possible to predict and personalize outcomes in ways we could not do before. At AWS, we can provide the most comprehensive AI/ML partner ecosystem, and it's going to allow us to deliver telco data lake capabilities, delivering predictive insight for improving the customer experience and predicting also issues around networks. For example, telcos can now leverage AWS technologies to proactively predict network outages, model network routing, optimize network performance, or on the other hand, they can use data and analytics with AI to better understand customer information. How are they using the network? What is the behavior they've got? So that they can recommend more accurately the next set of services and the next set of functionality that they need to bring to market. It all starts with having a very solid data strategy, because in telecoms, data drives everything. And telecommunication operators need a data model that captures the entire customer journey. That 360-degree view, an intelligent flywheel that will be looking around corners and anticipating customer needs and requirements, because when you do that, it's when you really are gaining that in that game. Telcos today still have on-premise data centers with relational databases, and they have very simple toolings to manage data. This has just been built over the last couple of decades. So the first step to modernize that data infrastructure has to be to shift from that old legacy on-premise database model onto a more modern cloud data infrastructure, which provides a variety of databases and data services. Once it's done, the second phase is about liberating the data by moving it to a lakehouse architecture that breaks down the silos and made data way more accessible and accessible to everyone who might need it in a given point in time. Once you've done that, you move on to have AI as being the foundational technology that allows you to then to really use that data. You will be able to reinvent that customer relationship. You will be able to personalize intelligent offerings. You'll be able to start having smarter, automated, two-way conversations at scale. And this is a really fast-growing area and one of huge opportunity. I can confidently say that we are just scratching the surface of what's possible and really excited about what the future is going to bring. Ishwar, could you please dive a little bit deeper onto the data architecture, please?
Telcos have data from very different sources: subscribers, devices that connect to the network, the applications that run on them, and the network itself. The data is input across different systems, such as the OSS, BSS, packet core network functions, and call data records. The data is owned by different departments, from network planning, network operations, procurement, business development, to customer service. It's difficult to carry out analytics when your data is stuck in different silos, causing multiple challenges. The data needed for a given workload may be split across multiple silos and inaccessible. The silos where the data lives might not meet the price performance requirements for a given workload. And the silos might require different management, security, and authorization approaches, increasing the operational cost and risk. What telcos today need is a highly scalable, available, secure, and flexible data store, or a data lake that can handle extremely large data sets from these multiple sources. With a data lake, telcos can store all their structured and unstructured data using the data format of their choice and tag that data in a central searchable catalog. They also need a broad and deep collection of purpose-built data services like interactive dashboards, log analytics, big data processing, databases, and data warehousing to build applications. But this is not enough. They also need to be able to move data between the data lake and the services that they need, to have unified governance across the data and services, to simplify securing, managing, and monitoring access to the data. We are enabling telcos to build their data architecture on AWS. They can build their data lakes on Amazon S3, our object storage service, and use Amazon Athena as an interactive query service that makes it easy to analyze data directly in S3. In addition to the data lake, telcos can use a combination of our purpose-built databases and analytic services. AWS's portfolio of databases includes purpose-built databases engines for relational, key value, document, in-memory, graph, time series, wide column, and ledger databases. Additionally, telcos can use services like Amazon EMR, which is a managed cluster platform that simplifies running big data frameworks such as Apache Hadoop and Apache Spark for analytics. Now, with this architecture, telcos can build a range of applications in network operations and planning, in customer analytics, in business analytics, making sure that they are using the right tool for the right job and get the performance and scale needed at the lowest possible cost. And now, once we have a data architecture in the cloud in place, it's all about innovating on this data using artificial intelligence and machine learning, or AI/ML. At AWS, we think about AI/ML at a macro level as having 3 layers of the stack. And we are applying each of these layers in the telco data strategy to innovate on top of the data architectures. The bottom layer is for expert ML practitioners. It offers frameworks like TensorFlow and other dedicated infrastructure as a foundation for machine learning. It includes custom silicon, such as AWS Trainium, which is optimized for training models, and AWS Inferentia, which is optimized for inference. While telcos typically do not have machine learning experts building new machine learning algorithms that need deep machine learning expertise, they can still take advantage of components at this layer, such as dedicated silicon in network edge computing platforms as this layer for MEC use cases. The second layer is for data scientists who are not ML experts, but domain experts who want to build applications. This layer provides an integrated development environment, which we call Amazon SageMaker. Amazon SageMaker helps data scientists and developers to prepare, build, train, and deploy high-quality machine learning models quickly by bringing together a broad set of capabilities purpose-built for machine learning. Telco data scientists and ISVs are today using SageMaker to develop and train models for application in areas such as service assurance, network optimization, and network analytics. The third layer is AI services that have pre-built and trained models ready to deploy, designed to solve very specific use cases. At AWS, we've developed several of these AI services that are the foundation of use cases such as recognizing objects automatically, transcribing voice to text, recommendation engines, fraud detection chatbots, automated call centers, and many more. We are customizing these for telco-specific use cases, accounting for the unique characteristics of telco data, telco customer behaviors, and coupling with other telco-specific sources of data such as the network. For example, we have integrated voice calls with Transcribe, which is our voice-to-text processing service, and combine that with Comprehend, which is our natural language processing service, for sentiment analysis to resolve customer issues. Another example is the extension of a forecasting AI service for predicting network bandwidth and capacity needs, helping telcos to plan for expansion.
Thank you, Ishwar. That was really good. So now let's hear from a customer. Let's hear from Rainer Deutschmann. He's Telia's Chief Operating Officer, and he's going to share his experience in this area.
Telia company is the market leader as a telecommunication and media company in the Nordics and Baltics with about 10 billion US revenue, 18 billion US market cap, serving proudly 24 million customers in our region, and that region happens to be one of the most digitized in the world. Earlier this year, we have embarked onto a massive transformation to open a new chapter of Telia, becoming a lean and agile digital connectivity and entertainment and ICT services provider. The analytics transformation is a center pillar of what we are doing, where we enable the organization for data-driven decisioning and where we also unlock value from data for our operation as well as for our customer experiences. It's a scalable, serverless data foundation built on a serverless data lake. So the scalability is really core to the way how we build the data foundation with AWS, and hence it's really a journey that we are starting now, and we see every month, every quarter, new use cases coming in. We see extremely good results by personalizing the experience, and we see, of course, along the sales funnel from the awareness to the consideration to the first time try and to the eventual purchase and the repeat purchase, a massive increase in the entire stickiness and in the entire satisfaction of the customer. For us, even more important than having a good product and having a good technology is a joint vision, a vision of the future, a vision of really serving our markets to drive value and drive good customer experiences. And even more important than having a joint vision is having an engagement and having a leadership that really jointly drives the implementation of our use cases. And that is what we have found, especially in AWS, and hence why we are so proud and happy to be working together on our analytics transformation.
So now, to wrap it up, let's just address the top line growth, because we are working with telcos to help them unlock the new growth potential that these new technologies offer. And we're doing this in two different go-to-market motions. First, by innovating and monetizing 5G and the edge. With AWS Wavelength and AWS Outposts, we are bringing the AWS cloud to the edge of the telco operator's network. This 5G public MEC with AWS Wavelength enables application developers building the next generation of this very ultra-low latency edge computing applications that are going to be using the same powerful set of AWS services and AWS APIs. And they're going to be using the same tools that they're really familiar with. These have already been announced with Verizon in the United States, with Bell in Canada, with Vodafone in the UK, KDDI in Japan, SK Telecom in Korea. We also have solutions and opportunities to monetize around private networks based on AWS Outposts, as we have launched with Verizon and Telefonica Germany. The second area is about partnering with telecommunications operators to complement their enterprise solutions with AWS cloud technology so they can offer a more comprehensive and integrated digital transformation to the corporate and small enterprise customers. Let me just quickly go through a few examples. The first one is around public wireless connectivity that telcos can offer to consumers with mobile devices, because now we can really offer new services like autonomous vehicles and ride share and fleet management, where you really need that wireless connectivity, but you need it very, very fast performance. You need data at a very, very low latency at the edge. And this is something that is already possible through these solutions. The second area is about residential, because with Cloud Edge integrated into software-based cloud-native 5G with cable components, telcos can now offer a new category of programmable WAN offerings, virtual broadbands, and smartphone security and media services. It's a really fascinating emerging space. And last, telcos can now offer private networks, either as an extension or as a slice of the public networks, coupled with compute and AWS AI/ML services like Monitron and Lookout, that they can offer services to improve productivity and throughput of industrial processes. In addition, AWS brings a partner and developer ecosystem that is second to none. We built our AWS infrastructure and edge continuum with the developer experience in mind to provide that consistent environment for deployment, development, management, and security of their applications. It is an environment with a common set of APIs and functions so that they can create these applications and decide where they run, depending on processing, connectivity, and location requirement. And the flexibility is such that enables AWS services, APIs, tools, data processing, analysis, storage, to bring it as close to the endpoint as required, even if they need to bring it onto customer-owned infrastructure and services. Let's hear from one customer. Let's take a look at Corning and see how they are working with AWS Outpost and Verizon's 5G Edge to automate their manufacturing, improve their efficiencies, and reduce defects.
I'm Mike Bell, Senior Vice President and General Manager of Corning Optical Communications. Our plant in Hickory is one of the largest optical cable manufacturing plants in the world. This cable forms the backbone of today's telecommunications networks. For any manufacturer, process control, that's monitoring and correcting defects, is one of the biggest day-to-day challenges. The second big challenge is throughput. Having materials flow through a factory as fast as possible. At our Hickory plant, we're working with Verizon and Gasalt Robotics. That's a service provider for intelligent industrial automation, running highly scalable edge services on AWS Outpost that provide autonomous navigation and advanced environmental sensing as a service. Gasalt Robotics solutions uses computer vision and machine learning to process sensor data received from autonomous mobile robots, then send those commands to the AMRs over ultra-low latency, high-throughput 5G networks. What's powerful about the combination of 5G and edge computing is the latency combined with the ability to really process data, large amounts of data in real time. You're moving the computational power from the device to the edge, and that allows us to manage and process that data from multiple robots, multiple sensors, and catch problems before they occur. I think it's exciting to consider how this technology will enable us as well as other manufacturers to better harness the data being collected on the factory floor. If we can capture that data, process and interpret it more efficiently, we can see things that we couldn't see before, and we can quickly send commands back to associated devices. All these things lead to better flow of goods within the factory. This project, by combining AWS Outpost and Verizon 5G Edge, we're able to improve safety, precision, efficiency, and explore the potential of 5G in a manufacturing setting. And if you open up the full power of the internet on these devices and these processes, I just think it's incredible what we're going to find we can do.
In summary, these are really exciting times of innovation, transformation, and opportunity. We are seeing acceleration everywhere, and we are committed to work with the telecommunications operators, solutions, and service providers to drive innovation to transform this industry with and for our customers. AWS brings the most advanced and secure cloud services, the deepest telecom partner ecosystem, and the fastest rate of innovation. And we're working with our customers building secure and scalable software-driven networks, simplifying operations, reimagining customer experience, and accelerate innovation to unlock growth. We really look forward to continuing to working with you all at reinventing communications together with AWS. Thank you very much.